Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back, welcome back. So, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is V. Um, if you've been led to any of these videos, you were probably divinely guided by the Holy Spirit to obtain a little piece of the puzzle. So, you'll typically have a piece of the puzzle over here, a piece of the puzzle over here, and I am typically the connecting dot. I connect the puzzle pieces. So, welcome to the channel if you're new. We're glad you're here. So, to my OGs, welcome back. So I think I have two actual videos to put up. It was easier to do the other ones earlier that way too, and he showed me them in the vision, so he said put them on screen. So that's what I did. These are very important, and I believe that's all I have to do today. So, I'm still a little bit late on the scriptures, guys. None of these videos are planned, and as you see, I'm literally pumping these things out. So, let's get into what this is. Yeah, I'm gonna actually have as the thumbnail photo what I saw, and I am to explain what I saw. So, what is it called? Wait, let me make sure. Hold on, guys, because I'm literally running out the door as I'm about to do these again. So, um, and then grab something to eat, and then that should be it. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, got it. Okay, so um, I don't even remember at this point. There's so much coming through. I think it was like 34 days ago. I'm sitting and the Lord begins to show me a sacred geometry shape. Now, I'll explain because years ago, the Lord showed me sacred geometry. And I'm more like, Lord, why are you showing that to me? Just understand, you're not going to understand a lot. You only understand it in reverse. And that's the case with this too. I did not understand it. I was kind of interested in it a little because I love art work and artistry. So, and I was like, okay, what is this about? And he kind of left it alone, but he was showing me certain things. Okay, and I was like, okay, Lord. And there was no more, which I'm sure people who operate in prophetic understand. It'll be a piece of the puzzle, and he won't talk to you about it for maybe years, and then it'll come back. So I was like, okay, Lord, that was interesting. Like I said, I go with it. So like if he tells me to go look up a purple peacock with one blue toe and go into the deep depths of it, I do it. And then all of a sudden I'll meet somebody that is it literally matches. So and that'll be their whole thing and they'll start talking to me about it. I'm like, yeah, it was for you. You're about 2 years later, or 7 months later, but I'll remember it. Okay, so let me explain what happened. So I'm sitting and very clearly God is showing me sacred geometry and it starts to come into my vision. And I'm like, Lord, what is this? And he said, look it up. So I looked it up and it's the fruit of life. Fruit of life. Is that right? Let me see. Make sure it's right. Oh, yeah. It's fruit of life. And I'm like, but it was shaped differently. And I'm going to put to the best of my artistic ability, which is not great. In this is the thumbnail, but I need to make some very clear specifications about what this is and how I saw it because it's not going to be exactly as on the thumbnail. So the way he showed it to me first, there's 5 white circles on each side. Okay, so the center is representing what we're going to get into, which is the evil spirit. There's 5 white circles on each side of the lines, okay, everywhere they are. So in the picture, you're not going to have 5 because I didn't have space to put 5. So there's 5 on each side, okay? And I was like, what is this? And then he said, explain it later. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, Lord, what is this you're showing me? And he goes and says, this is the J spirit. And I hope you guys, I don't say her name. And I'm like, okay, Lord. And I said, I'm not understanding. And he goes, and I colored it in the picture. So he didn't color it for me in the picture, but I knew what he meant. So at the very center, which is like the brown greenish color, I colored it so that you would be able to you would be able to recognize it. And I'm like, what is this representing? And he's like, okay, so he's like, daughter, this is the dynamic structure. And I'm like, still not getting it. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean, Lord? And he's like, this is the dynamic structure and the walls. And I'm like, still not understanding. And he goes and says, each circle of the white circles represents a person or sect. And I'm like, okay, or a sect of people or groups. So it's multiple. So this is not just one, it's multiple. So it can be an individual person until you get to that spirit, or a group of people until you get to the spirit. And he was saying, Lord was saying, she's highly walled, highly walled. And I'm like, okay, Lord, highly walled. And then after he said that, he showed me a wall on the outside of the whole structure. I couldn't draw that. I don't even know how to do that in, I think I did it in one of the drawing apps or whatever. Sorry, guys. Um, and I was like, I don't even know how to do that. But he did that afterwards. So he showed it to me, and then he drew a complete circle on the outside. And I'm like, and he says, highly walled. He said, before you even get to her, there's walls. And the Bible clearly states that too. And then he goes and says, each of those are people or sex. And then he kind of brought back the, oh, y'all, I swear, I hate to tell you, but my grandma's a natural blonde. Y'all be seeing some blonde moments on me. Lord. Okay, so I just got it. Okay. So he then showed me in my vision, and I'll link it here because I've been linking it a lot lately, which was a vision that he gave me of a tree and blood altars. And I was like, okay, Lord. And it's relating to government and how things are organized, so forth. And I was like, okay. So not coincidentally, it looks like a spider web too. And I'm like, okay. And that was what he was showing me too in that vision. So I'll link the video here. It'll be in the end screen. And I'm like, okay, got it. So I am to put this here. It is the structure to disassemble the structure, is what he's saying. To disassemble the structure. I just saw you, Angel. To disassemble the structure. And he's saying you just can't walk up on it. You have to disassemble the structure. And highly walled. Highly walled is what he's saying. And then each of those are sects or people. So, and he's showing me like, he just showed me in my vision, it's like lightning went. So that was the communication to each one. I bind you by the blood of the Lamb. I heard that too. And lightning went for communication. He then started talking to me about how this structure is how she communicates, and feeds information and gets information. And he's showing me like a chest, breathing in and out, breathing in and out. She feeds information and gets information this way. And I don't understand it. I'm just to put what I know of this and what he showed me. Um, and then as I was about to make the video, he said to me like 10 minutes ago, he said, this is why the enemy took out key people in your life, because she knows that if you take out key people in her life, the structure falls. The structure falls. The wall falls, is what he's saying to say. That's not me, guys. The lighting is God. The wall falls. And so she made a preemptive strike. And like I said before, um, God doesn't make preemptive strikes. Okay. So what else, Lord? This is tying into the mimicking and changing the narrative video too, because um, it's all tying together. You'll get it in pieces, but shh. He did tell me that, Lord. I'm sorry. So this includes in these government structures. Okay, in the government structures. So if in the blood altars video, which will be linked, I bind you by the blood of the Lamb, you'll remember that I said that these are in key structures, key places. In all areas of government. Remember, I said the court system, the police system, the in key areas of government, which is not coincidental what's happening right now in our government. So, and I was like, okay, Lord, um, I got it. So he says that this also happens in those areas, so in the court system, and that goes with changing the narrative. So because the enemy is trying to mimic what God is doing, and God has already ruled in heaven, she's trying to rule on earth in her posse. So he's saying he's like posse, right? So okay, so and moving behind the scenes is what he's saying to say. So you just brought something back to my memory, bring it back to my memory too, because I totally forgot. And I don't want to leave it out of the video if it's important. Yeah. So um she's moving in these things in government and so forth, which is why it was key too that these areas be overturned in the way that they have been by our present, current president, regardless of what I think about him, that regardless of that. If these areas needed to be cleaned out straight up, and what he said in reference to certain key parts of the government was correct. I know because the Lord had totally talked to me about it, and I talked to people that were there, and it was true. Um, so, so he's saying um, that they move in these ways. Okay, I heard that word. He said, set up in high places, set up in high places, high connections, high places, high positions. Strategically, to move behind the scenes, unaware, to set up things. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You did bring that to my memory. So I said this before. Um, the one of the very first J spirits I ran across, after everything was done and I literally left where I was living, this spirit was sending recordings from inside prison to me, besides something else. And I was like, Lord, why is she doing that? And the Holy Spirit was saying she's trying to get the vibration of that on you. And I was like, I rebuked that by the blood of the Lamb, okay? But he then revealed to me just earlier today too. He was like, oh, I heard that, but yeah, okay, thank you. He's bringing everything back to me because he's downloading a lot. So he's bringing it back to memory. So if this spirit can't take you out, if it can't get paid for taking you out, if it can't do any of those things, it's going to try to set you up. And then when it tries to set you up, it sits back and waits for what's going to happen. So be very careful of people right now who are saying things that are in alignment with her, that really don't mean you good, and you're a child of God. Be very careful of them. Okay. So, what the Lord was showing me was, because if you remember in the story with Elijah and the prophets Baal, they had all run. And Elijah was running too. Trust me, I feel the same way at times. We all who go through this journey feel that way. Um, and we're running too. And then God was like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "Everybody's going." He's like, "Nah, I got tons hidden, tons of prophets hidden, and not just you." And then, if you remember correctly, once Elijah came out of hiding and finally walked into his calling and so forth, um, and did what he was supposed to do, the Lord was just talking to me about this, and he was saying that if she can't take you out, if she can't scare you, her number one tactic is fear and intimidation. Like seriously, fear and intimidation. She even sends it out as aromas, as feelings, as all that kind of stuff. So if she can't make you fearful of her and intimidated of her and bullying you, um, which is not really going to work on a child of God. After a while, we're just like, we're done with it. Um, she literally wants to just out you, just take you out in any way possible. but she doesn't want her hands to get dirty. So but what I'm going to look at, what the Holy Spirit was showing me was that that recording years ago was she's people lined up inside those areas to finish the job for her. So she eventually wants to get you through, either the court system or through that system to take you out and have it done another way behind the scenes and do things to make it look like or seem like it was you. Okay. And so she keeps connections, is what the Holy Spirit's saying. So those little circles even represent that. And you would expect that, is what the Holy Spirit's saying, because on the deepest, darkest levels, you would expect she would have connections there because the spirit is foul and dirty and it likes that kind of environment. And literally, it's only concerned about the blood. Of the true prophets of God. And we bind you by the blood of the Lamb. And so, and you get everything, Lord. Okay, so I'm going to put this as a cover, and I have one more video to make. This one is a short one. So pray, watchmen on the wall, intercessors. The Holy Spirit is going to reveal more to you about this. He's going to download majorly about this and what this image is, and dismantling the altars. Oh, you did remind me, Lord. Thank you. So, and this is going to tie into the next video. So, I forgot about that. So understand this specifically too with like Masons and Eastern Stars. So this ties into this piece too. The structures of the government and even the Pentagon is shaped a certain way, which is sacred geometry. The reason why, and they're odd shapes for a reason. They're odd shapes and portals to bring things and draw things into those areas. Okay. The reason why they're portals is because they want to house the energy there of whatever it is that's evil. Okay. There's no other way to put it. There's also monuments that have been set up to do these things, and they are falling strategically on energy ley lines. Okay. Energy ley lines. You're going to have to look that up. I don't have time to go over that and research it. And it is to harness the energy. And remember, when you're dealing with deep, dark levels of energy, they get depleted. So they have to harness energy from other sources, which is what the next video is going to go into. And typically that's tapping into good sources and God's kids and so forth. So, as we all know, and they harness it from the ground, they harness it from ley lines, they harness it from in different ways. This is why, too, I just gotta say it because I heard the Lord say it very clearly. If you remember the incident in Miami, the mall, they shut down the electricity in the airport. It's because um, these things are true and they are harnessed from electricity and things of that nature. Um, this also, thank you, Holy Spirit, for giving me permission to say this is also the reason why in Egypt that there were 3 days of darkness. It was twofold. It was because they believed in the sun god, and God is the only sun. But it's also for that reason. God is the source. Okay. So, um, so these structures were set up and made a certain way. This also ties into the court system as well. And the reason why is because and I've said it on previous videos, when you take oaths with the Eastern Stars or Masons, um, they are given certain privileges if the judge is an Eastern Star or a Mason. And there's code words that are given to rule in a certain way. I'm going to say that. Even unrighteously. Um, there's no other way to put it. I have to just say what God is telling me to say. So they've set up structures, and it's structures within structures, walls within walls, systems within systems, and so forth to manipulate the system, is what the Holy Spirit's saying, to say manipulate the system and to cause outcomes to lean in their favor. Is the only way I can say it because that's what the Holy Spirit's telling me to say. Um, so they tap into these things as well. So, and they charge, thank you, Holy Spirit, you did remind me that. they charge these areas. I bind you by the blood of the Lamb. I bind you, demon, from the pits of hell. From by the blood of the Lamb, I bind you. So they charge these areas, and they become open portals for things, including courtrooms, including government, and things of that nature. They charge these areas. And what does that mean? He's saying, so charging is chanting over, um, harnessing the energy, and calling on the energy of those dark spirits is the only way I can say it. We're going to get into that in the next video. So these are key things to pray over right now. As far as this is concerned, the Holy Spirit's going to reveal more to you as well. So, especially in the court systems, especially in the government, especially in um, whatever the Holy Spirit leads you. But these are key things. I bind you by the blood of the Lamb too. I saw you. These are key things that have to be prayed over too right now as well. So intercessors and watchmen, these are key. So keep it on everything, Lord. Keep it on Yes, for this video I did. So let's go to the next video because that's going to tie into this too. And I'm going to link all the videos that are, I'm not going to link them all, but you'll know which ones are for you. So that's it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.